This is the Comedy Slab podcast at a cinema near you from Friday.
See, the trouble is, like most of my references, they're all stuck in the 1970s. I said to somebody the other day, it could have been you, actually. I can't remember now.
It could have been you.
I was talking about working in a shoe shop, and I said something about Dulces. And my wife said, Dulces haven't been in operation since 1986.
What about Freeman, Hardy and Willis? Where have they gone when we need
Three
them?
fine fellows in the shoemaking tradition.
I thought that was your family lawyers.
Freeman, Hardy, Willis and Leggett.
Unfortunately, he's not a free man anymore because he was a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Anyway, should we get started and do the proper introduction?
I thought we were started, yes.
People will complain otherwise. They go, I've not had my money's worth because I wanted the proper introduction. Hello, good evening, and welcome, as a great man once said. Welcome to the Comedy Slab podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey. If you've not caught up with us before, we love comedy. We get together every week, having watched a comedy, and chat about it, argue about it, thrash it around, whap it on the slab.
Easy.
Is whap it a verb? I'm not sure.
Is it allowable without whapping on an E certificate? I'm not sure.
And we dissect
Carry on.
it.
Keep digging.
What's having whapped it? We dissect. Is whapped the past participle of whap?
I don't know. Have you whapped your chips in newspaper recently?
Watch him. He's a whapper.
Yeah, I'm down with the kids.
And we generally analyse the comedy that we've watched.
I thought you were going to say we generally disgrace ourselves.
We do
Closer
that
to the truth.
We do that as well. I'm a little bit more nervous this evening because it's as we mentioned in other podcasts, it's that kind of pressure on where I choose one.
I don't
one
need
week
this
and
pressure on.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
I choose one week, he chooses one the next week, and of course, the week that you're choosing, you're always kind of thinking, "Oh, I hope I haven't ruined his week by making him watch a right load of old twat." Should we add another element? We always have the do you want the headline and stuff like that. We should have the other element. We should have the one who's chosen the comedy to guess what the other one thought of it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, let's do it for 2020, a brand new feature.
Because we have the integrity, don't we, to not. I mean, because you'd have to change your whole frame of mind, wouldn't you? We've written a whole load of notes on what we thought of it, so you could hardly go unless you just change all the negatives to positives.
Oh, hang on, give us a moment. Yeah.
I
know. I'm dying to know what you think I've made of it, because yes, you will, as usual, or for new listeners, we've got 3 audio clips to play, and I will give you my headline, which is my succinct reaction, if only I can sum it up in just a few tabloid-esque words. Reaction to the show that comes after the first audio clip. So, what is your guess, sir?
My guess is that. Well, let me tell people what it is first of all before I tell you what the guess is, shall I?
Oh yeah.
This week we are mostly
that
slabbing. It's about 10-year-old, isn't it? This now, 2010, I think. A 10-year-old comedy called Pete versus Life. It stars Timothy Spall's son, Rafe Spall. Love that name, Rafe.
Yeah, but what about the spelling? Is that one of those cod showbiz spellings?
Yeah, I thought
R-A-F-E.
because Rafe is Ralph, isn't it? Posh way of saying Ralph, isn't
yeah.
it? But it's actually spelt Rafe, isn't it? Which is a bit unusual.
R-A-F-E, yeah.
R-A-F-E.
Weird.
It's a bit,
I think it's so we discuss it. It's like Frankie Howard deliberately misspelt Howard with an E instead of an A. And your starter for 10, can you think of a singer? Again, it's a very old reference, sorry, from the 60s, female, who deliberately misspelt her first name.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
That's the one.
Yeah, lovely girl.
I dated her at high school. You going to go for it? Or just play Silly Billies?
Oh,
Rack those brains.
that's me tapping my head. Hang on.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. It's very hollow sounding.
It is, isn't it? Surprisingly. Well, perhaps
Going to have to put the clock on you there, mate.
No, go on.
Bong. Barbara Streisand.
Oh.
She took an A out of Barbara.
So it's Barbara
Cheek. Barbara.
instead of Barbara.
Yes. Barbara Streisand.
Barbara. Yeah, it doesn't work, does it, really? So, no.
Another
I didn't know
60s
that.
reference. Yeah.
And all that was to get attention.
What, me or her?
Her.
Oh, well, yeah. It worked, though, didn't it? Worked a dream.
Yeah, I suppose.
And
So.
a bit of talent as well, to be honest.
I was going to say, once you've got the attention, you've got to do something with it, haven't you? Really, but
Yeah.
there you go.
As our audience are loudly thinking at the moment and saying,
do something with it. Okay. Sorry. So Pete versus Life, unusual concept if you've not seen it before, because it's about a sports writer played by Rafe Spall, and his life is analysed by two sports commentators. And I remember first seeing this and thinking, wow, that's unoriginal. There were two programs.
sounded like you said unoriginal. You mean unoriginal?
How original? Yeah, I meant to say.
Yeah.
Remind me later. There are two programs the one I had an idea for a program, and then I saw it on the TV, which was really freaky. I thought it'd be really good if they did this with a sketch show. And shall I tell you now, or am I wasting time?
Tell me now, because I might forget later.
Okay. And you've probably never seen it, but it was a sketch show starring Kevin Bishop. And I was sat there one day. It was the days when I could afford Sky TV, and I got the Sky remote, and I was going through. And you know, the blue bar on Sky, the blue and yellow thing. I don't think it still does now, but it used to come across the bottom.
Oh yeah.
And I was flicking through that, and I thought, what a great way of going from sketch to sketch. Like it's as if it was on different channels, because you've got all different genres and all that sort of stuff. I thought that'd be a great way. And then blow me down, about 18 months later, Kevin Bishop
nicks it off you.
Yeah. He came in the night.
He went into your noggin.
Stuck a straw up my nose and sucked the idea out.
Well, but you know what the conclusion should be to that? Not sue Kevin Bishop, but get your ideas written down and made as soon as possible. I know I'm making it sound straightforward.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Think on.
It's difficult to know as a layperson what to do with something like that, though, isn't it, when you've got an idea like that?
I think you missed a syllable there. It's difficult to know as a lazy person. Not lacy. Anyway, look, are you going to give us your impression of what my impression will be?
Yeah, your impression is, thank you very much. Egg spoon, spoon egg. Yeah. Ronnie Corbett, rubbish. Do you know, and all I thought as I was watching it, I was like going, ooh, ooh.
You were wincing.
Because I thought...
You were sitting on one of your son's toys.
I was sat on a Lego. I didn't think you'd be very keen.
Is that as strong as you're going to put it?
Yeah, because I think, you're always quite circumspect, aren't you? I mean, it's obviously because you're Jewish, but you
that's coming out. You're editing this week. Wait, you can answer the email.
That's what he said when he went to the clinic. So you're always quite circumspect with your analysis, and you're never kind of more extreme than you need to be. You're always quite, So I thought, I was watching it. I thought, I'm not sure he's going to be keen about this. So, with that in mind, and
I'm giving nothing away
headline,
this side of the clip. Yes.
Yeah. Before we have your headline, and see whether I'm anywhere near right, shall we have a clip?
We shall.
Okay. I thought, because I chose the clips obviously because it was my choice program. I thought let's go straight in at the deep end. Because it hasn't kind of got a theme tune. It goes straight into it, doesn't it? The whole sort of sports analysis kind of thing. So this whole intro kind of sets the scene as well. And it's the first time that we meet our commentators for Pete's Life, Terry McIlroy and Colin King.
Tonight on Pete versus Life, the socially inept would-be sports writer takes on a quite daunting array of top-flight opponents. There's his best mate's fiancée, Anna, whose goal is never to have to use public transport again. Jen, the human rights lawyer who once threw a carton of natural yogurt at Tony Blair. And his ex-flatmate, Jake. He likes the environment, but he also likes a laugh. Let's see how he gets on in Pete versus Life. Welcome, I'm Colin King.
Well, I'm Terry McIlroy.
So we find Pete in a theme bar. What do you think the theme is, Terry?
Well, the world's pub by the looks of it, Colin. Still, on the plus side, it's full of young pretty girls, or as we used to see her back in the old days, crumpet.
Well, times have moved on. Let's just say attractive young women.
Yeah, although I believe the term bitches is now acceptable.
Not on TV, Terry.
Hi, guys.
Hey. Oh, Ought to. So has anyone got any questions they want me to ask Cristiano Ronaldo? It's all set for tomorrow.
Oh, the interview's happening. That's brilliant.
Yeah, basically...
Excuse me, Pete, but we were having a conversation before you arrived.
Oh, sorry.
Well, unless you think football's more important than our wedding.
No, your wedding's great.
I'm just leaving a dramatic pause. Right. How soon do you want your headline?
Oh. Shall I bet money on this?
I actually don't tell him, dear listener, but although we've been talking about it for 5 minutes now, I haven't got a headline yet. Okay, I've got one.
Yeah.
But actually what I want to say first, to tease you, is I would give it 5 out of 5... ... for concept.
Okay.
Love the conceit. But I'm afraid my headline is Adrian versus Pete. You knew it was coming. Versus life. Not off. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I knew it. It's really weird, isn't it? I kind of got a vibe.
That just means I'm really unoriginal with my headlines. Is that what you're saying?
No, as I was watching it, I kind of thought, ooh.
Ew. We've done that joke.
Yeah.
Let go. Let go of the joke.
Yeah.
Let it go. Yes, what can I say? So, as ever, I so wanted to like it. And when you gave me the homework last week, new listeners may not know, we give each other homework alternate weeks. Don't think you said that just yet. But so I'm in, a certain degree of anxiety about the homework I'm setting Shane for next week. But that's then, this is now. I thought, what a brilliant concept, and it still is. But I've got to say, fairly early on, and I've said this before about other shows, and it's bound to happen, I would say more than 50% of the time, the show isn't for me. It's not aimed for me. I think it's for young lads coming back from pub on Friday night, like.
Do you think so? You don't think it's got an element that you can enjoy it outside of that? I mean, you're right. I mean, I think that probably that is the market that they're aiming it at. It's interesting actually because the writers, when you look at the other stuff that they've written, that's the level, that's the market that they aim at most of the time. To be honest with you, apart from I think they wrote for Armstrong and Miller in the early days.
Right.
But writing
well, I love
sketches
them.
and
They're
stuff.
sketch shows, yeah.
Yeah, so it's slightly
If you
different,
told
isn't
me
it?
they invented the RAF pilots who speak hip-hop speak, no, I don't know what the term is even, but then I'd say hats off to them. I have actually, I don't know if there'll be time for it, but I have got a story about Bert Tyler Moore, who's one of the two writers for later, but not hugely relevant at the moment as we're sorting out the basics. Well, I mean, it's fine to aim for a niche, but ideally, yeah, you'd hope that any comedy that is trying to is a little bit ambitious is also ambitious in how widely it can reach people. I don't know. Does that make any sense? I mean, I think comedies generally, not least for commercial reasons, you want the biggest audience you can get, don't you? I didn't feel anyone was deliberately shutting me out, but I mean, I come from it from a perspective of, as you know, but to tell people maybe not aware, what I know about sport can be fitted on the back of a postage stamp in very large writing. But I know enough about TV to know how sport is, roughly speaking, covered. And I mean, what our audience may not be aware of if they haven't seen the show, the graphics are, they put some effort into those to look like sports graphics.
Yeah, it's like picture in picture, and they'll do graphic representations of things and pie charts and bars and statistics and all the things that you would expect to do. And I think what I've liked about that, I thought, because it would have been easy to just do it as football does it, but I don't know if you noticed in that clip, but if you listen back to that clip, at the introduction, there's actually the sound of a motor racing car going past us, going like that, which kind of broadens it out to a broad concept of sport, which I quite liked.
They also throw in the odd whoosh, which Sky's quite fond of, isn't it? Or certainly was.
Yeah.
again, these things go in fashions and waves. I don't know what the latest fashion in sports TV is. And again, as you were saying, it's 10 years old. So I guess 10 years later, graphics are going to change. But the principle of it, you get. So they've definitely put the effort in. It's time for me to find out what you think of it. Because, I can't remember if you came from a position of knowing it very well, whether you nailed your colours to the mast or...
I'm not sure whether I said, but yeah, I did. I watched it first time round when it came out. I remember thinking, what a brilliant idea, what a great concept. And that was the point at which I became a big fan of Rafe Spall. Now, have you seen him in anything else? Are you aware of him in anything else? No.
I showed my ignorance last week, although I think I did actually know. On reflection, I think maybe you told me on a previous Slab, but he's Timothy Spall's little boy. Here's the thing. I think I worked with Timothy Spall before he became a name in something that used to be done at the BBC. It was not for transmission, not for TX, as we say in the trade. It was TV training. It was to train directors. And they got in proper actors because they were really enjoyable. I was sound technician then, as you know, and we didn't do much drama normally because drama was already disappearing from the studios then. This is way back when, late 80s, early 90s.
I bet when drama disappeared from the studios, it just flounced out, didn't it?
It went, that's it, I've had enough. I'm going somewhere else with single camera and real stately homes. I've had enough. Good concept by you, terrible execution by me. And that's probably what I get, a terrible execution. Right. It's the Lego again. So, and we had these little scenes, and I'm pretty sure it was Timothy Spall in one of the scenes, but he wasn't a name. He would be... I can't prove it, this is the problem. I haven't got any scripts or anything from the past, but I'm pretty sure it was him.
And I have to say, if he's got 50% of his dad's acting ability. I don't know what you think of Timothy Spall, but I just think he's one of the great British actors. And every time he makes something, as soon as he makes a movie, he just goes up in my estimation again. He's just you just think, wow, he's just performances are breathtaking. He's a real actor's actor, isn't he? And I don't feel I know enough about the range of his work, but what I've seen. I'm thinking of the Mike Lees I've seen him in because he's part of the sort of Mike Lee family, or was. Yeah. Again, my reference points aren't necessarily on the money, up to date. But I've certainly enjoyed him in that. He was Aubrey in, oh gosh, I've forgotten the name of it now. Aubrey. It just couldn't sit still. Made me laugh because I saw myself on screen. Well, didn't he? So you also? Oh, right, I see what you mean. Didn't he? Was it Arvida St. Pet was the thing that launched him into notoriety, wasn't it?
In which case, yes, I might have to change my timeline then. So, well, maybe he was a name, but he had shall we say, a quiet period after Alfredson, unless I've remembered wrongly, and it wasn't Timothy Spall. But I remember making a connection when I saw him subsequently. He's done really well, and Harry Potter's and all, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Harry Potter, but. And I've never seen a minute of them, any of them really, so I wouldn't really know. Tell you what I did see me, which I really like, which is what I said to you last week. His wife's name is Shane.
Right.
He did a thing where he took a narrowboat. In fact, it was a Dutch barge, which is kind of like twice the width of a narrowboat, and they're able to go on the sea rather than the canal.
A not so narrow boat.
Yeah, quite a broad boat, really.
It's as broad as it's long.
But they own one. They keep it moored up in London somewhere, and they went out.
Oh, did he go around the coast?
Yeah, he went right around the coast of Britain.
Right. Oh, right, all the way around. Right. Okay.
Yeah, which was that was fascinating to see him as him. Right. See their relationship, but he slipped into that and being doing meeting people and talking to people and getting their stories, and he did that because he's just a very kind of down-to-earth sort of guy. But this was the first thing I'd seen his son in, and I was sure I'd seen him in other stuff, and kind of went back through Internet Movie Database to find out what else he'd done, and I couldn't really see stuff that, I thought he'd done more films than he had. He's been in America, I think, hasn't he? Trying to break America at the moment. I think he's doing some stuff.
don't know about that, but if you say so. Well, a little bit of Hollywood on the way.
I think sort of Hollywood miniseries, Netflix kind of thing. He was in something called Roadies, which looked quite good. It was a drama.
About rhododendrons.
About rhododendrons. How did you know?
Fantastic. I thought, it just looks a right little petal.
He plays Alan Titchmarsh. Curiously,
someone's got to.
Curiously, and wins.
Plays with him. Plays him. Yeah. That's something I think you can only see on subscription.
Thankfully. Tell me.
Yes.
Was part of why you didn't like it the fact that you didn't like how feckless he was? Because I know you're a fan of feck, aren't you? And
I have to remind myself what that meant. Well, lazy and shambolic and not got it together.
Yeah.
What are you saying about me?
You like a bit of feck, don't you? You're more of a feck kind of guy than most people.
Well, no, I'm probably more feckless than you think, but I know I should try and pull my feck together. You've led me down this very narrow alleyway.
Wouldn't you just have a big bunch of feck in your hand there?
Well, it made me think of Father Ted and the drunken priest in the corner. Girls, knickers. I'm certainly not Nicholas.
But is that part of it that you didn't? He's kind of a shambolic, old enough to know better to get his life together.
No, it's actually. I think. Oh no, I've got to be careful. No, don't be careful. Say it. I think he should know better as an actor. I felt. This is consistent with what you're saying about him, but you can never know really. But the hunch was he was playing down, as it were, and hiding his true talent because I'm sorry, it just felt like a down market thing for feckless people. God, I'm really intolerant, aren't I?
Right.
They should get out and get a job and sweep the lawn or whatever people should do when they've got lots of feck. So yeah. And a real shame, I think, and a lost opportunity generally with what was, as I say, 5 out of 5 stars for the concept. We must get on the second clip in a mo, but you could have done so much with commentators because we've all got a commentator. They're in our heads, aren't they? That's the point, and that's where I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be. If I use the word clever, I don't mean just highfalutin for the sake of it and references to classical gods and things that I wouldn't get. I was educated, if that's the right word, at a comprehensive school in Watford. So I'm not halfway to Downing Street. Let's just say.
And you're more halfway to Elton John, aren't you? Really, let's be honest. But
much more. Which is why I loved Rocket Man, but I mustn't get too distracted.
Can I just say, by the way, I've watched that now. And actually switched it off. We both switched it off. Me and my wife thought it was dreadful.
No, I'm not. Well, that's it. The comedy slab is up.
20 minutes in, I turned to Angelina and said, "Is Elton John the executive producer on this film by any chance?" And she looked it up and she went, "Yeah." And I went, "That explains it."
Well, let's not get too distracted. And I'm trying to keep my blood pressure down. Don't listen to Shane would be my advice, dear listener.
Dreadful.
It's the best film, not only of last year, but best film I've seen in a decade.
No. Didn't you see Bohemian Rhapsody? If you're talking that genre, that Bohemian Rhapsody.
They shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath, other than, of course, they shared a director up to a certain point. But hey, look, let's get on to clip number 2 before we get too distracticated. What do you mean?
No, I was just. The best film of the year. Oh, no.
We're not reviewing Rocket Man, although I've just snuck one in.
We'll do that next week. Oh, we can't.
No, not a comment.
All right, clip 2. You're going to hate this.
Oh, dear. Whatever's next.
Pete goes to dinner. He meets a girl called Chloe. And she's very nice. And I mean, immediately as a bystander watching it, you think, well, this isn't going to last because she's way too nice for him. And I suppose through the episode, one of the things that you do watch is the slow destruction of this, any semblance of a relationship that they had, that he kind of, he destroys, he self-destructs a lot of his life, which I think is also frustrating to watch, but there you go. Anyway, he goes to dinner at Chloe's parents' house and they're just about to sit down to the meal, and we join the action just as Pete comes out of the toilet.
You have a lovely home.
Thank you.
It must be worth, what, 1.1, 1.2 million?
I don't know. It's just our family home. Pete, I couldn't help hearing you flushed the loo. And I did say in this house we only flush after number 2s. It's just one of the ways we try to do our bit to help save the planet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did do a number 2, actually, so...
Oh.
Had he done a number 2, Terry?
No, Colin. And when Jen goes into the loo later and finds the seat up, she'll see it was pure hyperbole.
Thanks, Terry.
We're all very big on the environment here.
Like me, yeah.
Oh, Pete's given me tickets to a conference on protecting the Arctic ice field. I thought we could go for your birthday treat. We could think up ways to stop the Arctic melting.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Will you be joining us, Pete?
Oh, I'd love to, but I'm going to see Tottenham at West Ham.
Oh.
Pete has to go for his job. He's a sports writer.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. How's that going?
Really well, yeah. The work's really coming in now.
You make a living from it?
That's right, yeah. Although if I'm a little bit short, University College Hospital are always looking for test subjects. I once got $2,000 for having my heart stopped. They started it again, though.
That's meant to be funny, right? But I get that it's not the greatest, in quotes, careers to have to take money for medical research, but I'm glad someone's enjoying it. You were guffawing through all of that.
It's the social mismatch, isn't it? Though, don't you enjoy that? And it's lovely to see Michael Fenton Stevens as the father there as well. Great comedy actor.
I was hoping you'd know his name because he's a face you'll recognise, dear listener. If, like me, you can't name every actor you ever see, but he does crop up a fair bit. And
I've interviewed him.
I think I've worked with him. Okay, you do your name drop first.
Well, he was one of those that I went through a phase. I got really sick and tired of interviewing people because they were flogging something. So as Ronnie Corbett said, I said to my producer, I said,
I'm not having them in now.
I said, can we just get some people on who aren't selling anything, just for a change, just so we can just chat to them about their life and their work and their abilities and whatever they did. And he was one of the ones that we had on the show. As a result of that, and what a charming man! It was funny actually as well because if he very often gets cast as a vicar, doesn't he?
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure he said that at one stage he kept his own dog collar because he just
got so many gigs.
It just would be easier than keep bothering wardrobe.
I thought you were going to say it was for his dungeon and his S&M fantasies, but let's not dwell on those.
When did you work with him then?
Oh, yes.
Michael Fenton Stevens.
Right. Why am I not seeing it on the cast list? I'm furiously scrolling down. I've got the scrolls. Maybe I should sit slightly differently.
Or as I always call him, MFS.
Oh, yeah, I can see him now. He's not even got a photo on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in some brilliant comedy programmes.
Well, has he been in... Sorry to cut in. Alan Partridge, the second series. Was he? Oh no, I think I've got it wrong. There was an estate agent. No, maybe it's not him. No,
I know he's in 90 Night. I think he played a vicar in 90 Night, didn't he?
Oh, because I'm looking at 90 Night. Was he? And was he also? Which show was it? People Like Us. Where he plays a vicar.
Yeah.
And no, it's throwaway. That's what's so lovely about it. It's faded down under foreground action. But he comes in to bless a house and he says, "Dear Lord, please bless this kitchen stroke diner." And it's just in the background. And if you blink, you miss it because you're listening to the foreground.
You know, the part of the ensemble he was in many years ago, there, don't you? The 1980s, was it? He was part of KYTV with Angus Deep.
Oh, God. Well, I've got time for that. I think that was ahead of its time. That foresaw the age of multi-channel. And their take on KYTV was obviously a joke on Sky TV, and their top sport that they were pushing was international tiddlywinks.
That's right.
I remember that one.
Because the radio version was radioactive, wasn't it? Which I think lasted for about 7 series or something like that. But
did this last that long? Gosh.
Yeah, it did very well, that did. Come on, anyway. So it's this social mismatch I was saying before about this, that, you know, he's there. And, you know, I mean, Michael Fenton Stevens as her father barely looks up from his newspaper, does he really? He's that disinterested in him kind of thing. We've all been there, haven't we?
I was thinking just then, maybe that's why I couldn't enjoy it too much. I was looking through sort of through my fingers and getting elements of PTSD again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too close to home, maybe. I don't know.
Because it's a job audition interview, isn't it? Effectively. Are you worthy of our daughter?
Yeah. And really, it's not even a good job, is it? It's like a job.
What, you're saying the daughter's not worth the bother?
No, I'm just thinking at that stage, all you're competing for is like take them out. So it's like, you know, it's like going all through that just for a Saturday job, isn't it? Really?
Oh yeah, no, it's a fair dues. Yeah, I think I'm not going to name any names for obvious reasons because it doesn't make me look good. But yeah, it was like I was being interviewed for life rather than, oh, you've just had a few dates with our daughter. Yeah. I hope you're happy. And tell me about the movie you saw or, you know, whatever else.
Yeah.
What's your favourite record?
Which is one of the reasons why I liked it, is because Pete's life is gloriously mundane and he spectacularly mucks it up at every turn. I mean, in the last clip, we're going to hear he goes for a job audition and mucks that up. I mean, I suppose you could say the problem with that is it's predictable, but
I knew you were going to say that.
But so, not like, is it not like in him? Is it not like? Is it the joke count? Is it the quality of the jokes? Is it?
It's very thin gruel. I think the characters are. I mean, listening to it just then, it as that phrase says, which doesn't tell us anything really, it is what it is. I think it's like a comic. And I don't mean a comedian of a stand-up variety. I mean, you know, you don't go to turn the pages of a comic thinking, well, you might do in some instances, but generally it's sort of chewing gum for the eyes, isn't it, as they used to say about TV or film. And so you don't normally go expecting depth and great truths and revelations and all of that. But as I say, with the setup, hearing what you told me last week, I thought it was just a fabulous opportunity to dig into the human condition. And that might be a grand term, but it's not meant to rule out big belly laughs. And, again, an ancient reference, but forgive me, young people, Woody Allen in Annie Hall, I think it was the first time it was done, certainly the first time I came across it. Woody Allen's thoughts as he's chatting someone up are displayed as captions, subtitles. So he's saying one thing, but he's thinking, I wonder what she looks like naked. You know? So there are laughs there, but that is his internal dialogue, isn't it, on the screen at the bottom? And that's the joke of that. And that was the potential. Not that I want them to clone Woody Allen movies from 40 years ago. They had plenty more, you know, a wider canvas to paint on, but it just seems they didn't want to do that. There wasn't the ambition to paint something big, so they did a little sketch and a little comic.
Did you see what I enjoyed is probably what you hated?
Usually is.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why we decided to do this, isn't it? Is because we have eclectic taste. So I mean, you know,
I thought you were going to say because we hate each other.
We're a bit polar, aren't we? Really, in that sense, in what we like, but. I wrote some of the things down which I thought they were commentating on him having sex with his girlfriend, and some of the phraseology that they used I quite like, and I'm thinking, looking back now, you might think, oh, it's a little bit crass and crude and a bit schoolboy, but you know, at one stage I think one of the commentators said, oh, he's got his hand on his bald-headed giggle stick, and there were other phrases. He's gone off the fairway and into the rough. The kind of sporting expressions,
which I find them funnier when you say them.
which I kind of, I mean, stuff like that made me laugh out loud, really.
I love a good bit of innuendo, but there is a problem. Should we play the third clip before I Yeah, we ought to get on another piece of audio. But I must say there is a problem with the commentators, despite the fact that I've said it time and time again.
Okay.
I love the idea of it.
Do you know who they were? Who the one was? Did you? Simon?
No,
Greenall?
because you said last week, is one of them a genuine commentator and one is a comic actor, or
No, both of
comic
them
actors?
are actors. But
Right.
Simon Greenall, the one who plays Colin,
I recognise the name, but I couldn't associate it with any shows.
well, he's the voice of Aldi on TV. He's that's what.
So he's minted then.
But he's Michael the Geordie from Alan Partridge. Why, Mr. Partridge?
Right. Oh, good on. Well, I've worked with him then.
So
The name drop. Yeah. Oh God, no. I'm not great with names.
all right, final clip. And
Okay, Sean.
Pete, as we said, is a sports writer, and Anna, his friend's girlfriend's brother. Do we need to write this down?
I think I do, even though I've watched the show twice.
You might want to get a pencil and just sketch this out.
Yeah.
Pete's friend's girlfriend,
Carry on.
her brother,
Mm.
works for television and invites Pete along to audition to audition for a sports program because he's a sports writer, and so he thinks it's a great opportunity. So he goes along to the audition. It all goes really well. And it's an old gag, and I'm gonna spoil it ahead of the clip because otherwise the clip doesn't kind of make sense if you can't actually see it. But it's the old gag where
the old gag,
where he goes into the toilet with his radio mic still live.
Fantastic. The way you just walked in and read stuff off autocue. I mean, that's just one thing I could never do.
Oh, you were superb, Pete.
Oh, thanks, Anna.
We should have a little chat.
Great. Do you mind if I just go to the loo first?
Sure. See you in a sec. Well, I think you have unearthed me a diamond.
Hello, Ollie, mate. Went brilliantly. Oh, it was great. Yeah, no, he's a nice bloke. But, you know how touchy-feely Anna is? Well, she's really weird with her brother. I mean, it makes you wonder what Rob's married into. She's all over him, like kissing him on the lips, sitting on his lap, holding hands. It's really creepy. It's like some weird little incestuous relationship. I wonder who goes on top. Anna, probably. All right, mate, see ya. So, is there anything else you'd like me to do?
Yes, I'd like you to get your things and go.
Well, I thought you said you wanted to have a chat.
No. And next time you go to the loo, you might want to turn your radio mic off.
Oh, my word. And in that instant, all Pete's dreams have turned to dust. Let's see it again from another angle.
Yeah, the whole body slumps there, and look how dead his eyes suddenly see.
Well, there's so many strands and so many things I want to talk about, and you just want to giggle yourself silly, don't you?
I just love
With
the
your
way they did an
giggling
action
stick.
replay there as well. It's just
Well,
like...
I was going to say, I've written underuse of slow-mo. If there's one thing you'd think they would employ, you know, with this theme of two commentators, sports-style commentators commenting on his life, you'd think there'd be slow-mo. I mean, you don't want to overuse it, but I actually think, given the conceit of the show, the structure of it, I mean, it really lent itself to slow-mo, replaying events, because that's what your brain does. Again, it's this internal dialogue. You put your head on the pillow and suddenly, oh, my Lord, what did I say this afternoon? And how am I going to repair this tomorrow? And so, again, it just missed opportunities, like missed goals. And I had a problem with I felt, because I wasn't sure, again, it comes back to sports ignorance and sports TV ignorance, apart from having worked on some aeons ago. But what's the one thing commentators don't normally work from?
Oh, they do in the studio, don't they? The auto cue, yeah.
In the studio, yes, but this was purporting to be real-time commentary. So I felt, I'm a great fan. I speak as someone who's actually done it and worked on a number of spoofs on my own podcast, londonpodcast.net, in case you were asking yourselves or me. And I work with people who are just very talented actors who can ad-lib, you know, well, by definition, at the drop of a hat. I would have given these two experienced actors, one of whom is Simon Greenall, I would have given them a framework in which to work. I would have rehearsed it several times, record just in case you get what you want. then say, well, tear up the scripts and go with your gut instinct, but follow you've got to go with the framework of the story.
Yeah, so it still makes sense.
Yeah. And I think they could have soared, but as it was, it felt very stilted.
You can only have one concept per comedy programme, obviously. That's the...
That's the lesson.
You see, I wonder, though, whether that was... I mean, that's not rocket science, but 10 years ago, the people weren't making TV like that, were they? Because it would have been deemed to be too costly in terms of time.
What, my idea of the ad libbery?
Yeah. I think they're doing it now, but I don't think 10 years ago. Do you think they would have done that? I don't know. I mean, it's a great idea. I think
possibly
you're right.
not. I mean, if you want to save money, provided your actors can hold the memory of what they've done in rehearsal, you I'm sorry to use the lovey term, but you workshop it, don't you? And you can do that in a cheap church hall, where MFS is, if I've got his right initials, where he's the local vicar, and that's literally what some BBC comedy shows, I don't know if they're still using it, but there's in Kensington Church Street, the church of the street is used as a rehearsal space, or was, in my day.
Well, that's how they used to do Blackadder, wasn't it? Was they'd write the script, and then they would improve on the script in rehearsals. I mean, they've all said that. That's Stephen Fry would ad-lib some stuff, and they go, actually, we like that, we keep that in, and then they'd do some other stuff, and then they wouldn't keep that in, and and it'd develop and polish in the rehearsal. But you're right. I mean, I think that's a really good idea, and it's a good point as well. What about Rufus Jones, the brother? Did you recognise him at all from W1A?
No, but there is a problem with that. Can I just say what the problem is? You tell me more about him in a sec. The problem is we're meant to believe that the Anna woman, so that's a friend of his, Rafe Spall's new girlfriend, we're meant to believe she's head over heels in love with a man who she's going to marry, and she will talk about nothing other than the wedding and how she's labelling the tables after the name of colleges at Oxford. Which is a good enough gag as far as it goes. But then there's a sort of incestuous thing with her brother. What the heck is that about?
But didn't you get the sense when she was talking about the wedding, it was a very Malvolio kind of.
Oh, darling, sorry, I've missed the Shakespearean reference after all my complaints.
No, it was like kind of she was in love with the idea of being in love, and she was, she was in love with the idea of the big wedding and of everything being the attention of for her on her big day. It was a vapid love, wasn't it? Don't you think?
Well, it's definitely vapid, but I know. I've got to watch myself. I'm not going to get invited to any more weddings, but you only want to go to good weddings anyway, where there might actually be some love between partners. Again, well, that it speaks to a younger generation. I'm 1 year in my 20s, I was invited to 8 weddings, which is amazing on many levels. But that kind of rate has fallen off, as one would expect, as one gets older. But no, it was just totally unbelievable that she would be contemplating marrying someone, and just this incestuous thing. It was just a red herring, I felt.
I suspect by this stage, though, you were sat back with your arms folded, going, go on, entertain me. Go on, I dare you.
It was too late for that. It's too late. Anyway, you were going to tell me about Rufus Jones, and I will tell you about Bert Tyler Moore in a moment.
Rufus Jones, I mean, I was just going to say, what a great actor. Every time I see him in something, I have to go, that's Rufus Jones, isn't it? He was in W1A. He was the one who used to prance about the place with the glasses on and go, oh, Izzy, lovely Izzy.
Oh, yeah. Well, so gayish or certainly campish.
Kind of very camp kind of guy. But you wouldn't recognise. He played Bernie Delfont in the Stan and Ollie film.
Gosh.
He was in that as well.
He's a proper actor who can play a wide range then.
You're really saying that Rocket Man is a better film than Stan and Ollie with Steve Coogan?
I really am, yes.
Wow. You're just bonkers. You're just saying it just to be wacky and out there, I think.
No.
Tell me about...
Bert Tyler Moore.
But yeah, what a disappointment he's not related.
Well, yeah, that's the gag, though. I mean, I'd always assumed it was a stage name. I haven't dug into it. But for our younger listeners, once upon a time, there was Mary Tyler Moore, who had her own show, which I think I saw back in the days of the Ark, American TV. Was it it was a sitcom where she led?
Yeah, it actually
so
spun off a couple of other shows, didn't it? Didn't it spin off? Do you remember Rhoda? There was a which was shown on BBC Two in the UK. I mean, if it is a play on her, it's a bit of a backfiring one, really, because she only had one son and he died.
Well, maybe that's it's like a band called Manson. It's quite a sicky reference.
A dark
I don't
reference,
know.
yeah.
What I do know is, I'll try and get through this scene set very quickly. Years ago, a very famous bloke lands at Heathrow from America and says to his cab driver, "Take me to the best comedy venue in London." So he didn't know where it was. And so the driver takes him to the Comedy Store. So he gets dropped off by the taxi driver, and then he goes up to reception and says, "Can you point me to," he does it with an American accent, no doubt, "Can you point me to the equivalent of the production manager, whoever's sort of managing the bill?" And I think by then the receptionist has clocked who they're talking to, and then he says to the production manager, "Can I do a spot?" rather than sit in the audience, which you think he's going to do. So he does a spot, and the rest is history. He brings the house down, but there's a certain, and I will tell you who it was in a mo, but there was a certain Bert Tyler Moore who was on the bill to follow him. Well, I mean, the bill didn't include this guy. I must tell you who the mystery guy is. Have you guessed?
No.
You might know the story. It's Robin Williams.
I was going to say
in his
Robin
pomp.
Williams, but I thought...
Robin flipping Williams in his pomp does a blistering, I don't think it's particularly long, but an absolutely blistering 20-minute set. And Bert Tyler Moore, I've never seen as an act, but I was told by hashtag name drop, Kevin Day, some people will know his name, he's better known as a comedy writer, writes for Have I Got News For You, amongst others. Very experienced comedian I used to see in the early days of alternative. And I think Kevin was compere that day, and Kevin said to Bert, because Bert has he had then a low energy act. The one thing you could not follow was a high energy act. Robin Williams. And Kevin said, "Oh, don't worry. I mean, they won't expect you to go on after Robin Williams." And the crowd, they've just had a riot. But sure enough, whoever was boss that night said, "No, you're going on, Bert." And I mean, that would be tough on any night with a low energy act, which I'm sure he won them round because he was a very established act. But blimey, imagine following Robin Williams in his pomp.
I have to say, I never have done, I never do rate Robin Williams as a stand-up. I know that's going to
well, you don't rate Rocket Man, so you've missed quite a few things culturally in your life.
Yeah.
Impoverished.
Yeah. If I wanted Elton John to preach to me, I'd have gone round his house and let him do it in person.
No, he asked me to dep for him.
Can I just say, the mic toilet gag, leaving your mic on in the toilet?
Yeah, which I've heard Esther Ranson do and many others besides, yes.
When I used to go out on an OB, I used to love it because we used to do it like via a radio car, and I used to take a radio mic, and I would always insist during the news, I would always go to the toilet, and I'd go in there and I'd just like put the mic down somewhere and I'd just quietly have a wee, as you do. But then during the news, and bear in mind they can hear you in the studio back at base, so I'd start going,
You sure you didn't write this sitcom?
Nobody would ever say anything if I did about 3 times, then I'm the fourth one.
That's because it's excruciatingly embarrassing and unfunny. And the same applies to Pete Fez. No, I don't want to be quite that cruel, but...
People wondering what happened during the news. Now you know.
Wonderful stuff. Okay, so you can be as highly original as Pete versus Life.
My favourite line out of the whole thing was somebody said to Pete, he got a bit of liver in his bag, and he said, "What are you doing with that offal?" And he went, "Cristiano Ronaldo's granny gave it to me." And I thought that was the best line in the whole thing. I thought it was fabulous. If you want to know how he got to that line, you're going to have to watch the episode because we haven't touched on that really. Yeah, should we do the scores on the doors, darling?
Oh, yes. And before we do that, actually, we should say it's an objective production. I've said that with the wrong inflection. An objective production. And they are an all-three media company or an all-three media company. Anyway, you can work that out. Right. Oh, you got your hands on your head. Simon says we're watching each other on Skype, but you're not missing anything, trust me. He's no oil painting. You're a bit of a Leonardo da Vinci sketch, I would say.
I am a bit of an oil painting. Edvard Munch.
Scream! Right. Well, as I said earlier, 5 out of 5 for concept. Execution, 2.5 or 2.5 for me. On a generous day, I could say it's, for someone who I believe it's aimed at, I could see how they give it a 3. I'm going to have to, 2.5.
2.5.
Can't be more generous, and I'm sorry in a way.
No, it was only as I watched it. I mean, in my mind's eye, I kind of thought, I think he might like this. And then when I sat down to watch it and not remember it, as it were, I then thought, I'm dead.
Or you wish you were.
Yeah. I was thinking,
you're dead to me, Shane.
No. Sorry. But I would give it I'll give it a 4. I love it. I think it's a great concept. I think it's really well executed. I think the cast is mega. And if you do nothing else, give it a squint, because the whole 2 series, 5 episodes of series 1 and 6 episodes of series 2 are available on all 4 as we speak. And for a 10-year-old comedy, that's pretty good going, really. So, 6.5 out of 10. Can I just ask, how do you think it's stacked up against, because I think you quite like this, Stath Lets Flats? Because I thought it was on a higher level than that.
Higher level than Stath Lets Flats?
Yeah, I thought Stath was a lot more slapstick.
Slapstick.
Slapstick. Fantastic.
Well, if you remember, I had my reservations. People can, of course, trawl through the archive, as I'm sure they will, if they haven't already. And yes, for all eternity, or as long as we keep paying the bills, you can find all, what are we up to now? 70-something
77
episodes. Yeah, lummy. All the 77 episodes up there, and we'll tell you where there is, but you've obviously found us somehow. No, I preferred Stath, although I wasn't as wowed by Stath as you were, but the more I see Pete versus Life, the more I like Stath Lets Flats.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Can I just say something, a technical point, which I'm very surprised, considering it's written by, well, as I was saying, Bert Tyler Moore, certainly a stand-up comic, or years of experience in that. I don't know if he still does it, but
can I mention George Jeffrie as well, because he's the other writer, and I just feel sorry for him now because we've not mentioned him. Go on.
Do we know anything about him though?
Not really, other than he writes with Bert Tyler Moore on a regular basis. They've written a lot together.
Oh, and you mentioned earlier Armstrong and Miller. Yeah, they have written together on that then. The Windsors as well, which... Yeah.
Come on, what have I got to slag off next week? What we're looking at next week?
But what you're not allowed to do is a schoolboy snigger, because next week I am giving you Koch. Her surname... No, I told you weren't allowed to do that. Her name is Olga Koch. Her surname is spelled Koch, and it's as in Loch Ness. You've gathered her first name is Olga. If you had to guess which country she was from, where might you guess?
Wales.
Oh, hilarious! You are just so funny.
Russia.
I can see why your wife stays with you. Yes, indeed. It must be your wealth. Yes, Olga Koch is Russian. It's a show called Fight. It's a radio show. Actually, it might be sort of hybrid podcast stroke radio, but it is BBC. We've had at least two TV shows on the trot, so I thought time for a bit of radio, a bit of audio.
What's it called? Fight?
Fight.
Okay.
I think that is just an episode name because it's part of a series. I think I heard it while I was doing the washing up a few weeks before Christmas. Yeah, I know. I only do washing up every few weeks. So it mounts up terribly. But and I thought then, this is quite... I'm not going to pretend it was, belly laughs. But it was certainly different, and it's certainly different to what we've just been slabbing, and last week was extras and so on. So it is a little bit different. I don't think we've had any Russian stand-ups. And yes, it's stand-up style as well. So I think it's time to go back to more pure stand-up comedy, as 'twere. So you'll find that on BBC Sounds, certainly in the UK. Olga Koch, Koch, Fight, and I'm sure you'll put in the blurb next week where there might be alternatives, if indeed there are alternatives, where you can download it.
Absolutely. All right. If you've enjoyed the podcast, don't forget you can catch, as Adrian said, some of the previous episodes. Well, in fact, all of the previous episodes are up and running and there and available and are all listed, so you can just delve in at your pleasure. We originally reside on Spreaker, but you can catch us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. In fact, all of the normal places where you find your podcast, you should find us there as well. If you don't, let us know and I'll make sure that we rectify that.
We'll send the boys round.
Yeah, we'll send the podcast boys round.
Sort them out. On antisocial media, we are, naturally enough, at Comedy Slab. That's on Twitter. Do please follow us there. I must tweet out a photo of you. I just showed you, as we speak, I showed you tonight. And it's just something randomly I saw at the BBC where I do some of my work and have some of my being. And what did your son say when he saw this picture of a bloke's face on a bag, which I'd seen at the BBC and had to take a photo of?
You said it looked like me, and I thought, I was just about to WhatsApp you back and go, what do you want about, you idiot? And my son, who's just turned 2 years old, went, Daddy, as he pointed at the picture.
He don't lie.
No,
you don't lie.
No.
They don't at that age. So anyway, yes, that's something you should be able to find if I remember to tweet it out. Also, we are at Comedy Slab on Facebook. And if you like that page, we like you too. And do recommend us a personal recommendation to friends, family. Be hugely appreciated. Thank you kindly.
And so until episode 78 next time round, we will see you then. In the meantime, I'm going to go and wheel a commode back into this area here, leave Skype connected, and do the Skype equivalent of going to the toilet whilst my radio mic is on, just for Adrian.
And I can hear a couple of voices in my head, but they're not sports commentators. That's just not situation normal, really. One of them is you, which is pretty unfortunate. So thanks for listening. Until next time, au revoir.